Hello again. Welcome to Seasoned Citizens. Today we're going to visit with Max Collins, who is director of the Muscatine Elks Chanters. Max, welcome to our program today.
Thank you.
Just briefly, I understand you were born in the large metropolis of Grand Junction, Iowa.
I was born in Grand Junction, Iowa. That's up in the central part of the state. Grand Junction has 1,000 people. Actually, they have a sign out that says 1,025, and then the next sign which says 1,000. They think that the 25 may be unfriendly, but there are 1,000 friendly people there.
Well, great. We're welcome to Muscatine.
Thank
now.
you.
We're happy to have you. You entered our Muscatine school system as the director of vocal music in about 1947. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. You came here with laurels from Simpson College. I think your graduation date there was in 47, previous to your joining
That's
us
right.
here. And then continued on into the music field with a master's degree from Iowa in voice.
That's right.
Anything else you wish to offer?
No, I had, my time at Simpson was broken up with 3 years in the service. And then when I came back, I had been, I'd missed about a semester. And when I went back to school, I taught school in a little place called Liberty Center, south of Indianola. I had 50 kids in high school, and went to school at the same time. So it was a great experience.
Yes, you have quite a background for us here. Okay, as you were associated with our high school, somewhere along the line, I think you became associated with the Chanters, which had been formed, as I understand, previously in our high school association. Would you tell us about that?
The Chanters, when I came in 1947, was the first year for the Chanters. And the Chanters had been formed by a group of people in the Elks, really to sing for Elks programs and be part of the ritual. A man who was an original member and is still in Muscatine, retired many years ago, is A.W. Jack Spratt. He was one of the people who started the Chanters. In fact, the last 2 years at concerts, he's been there. And it was directed by a man who had been former teacher in the Muscatine Public School System, Max Reisinger. And Max went to work for KWPC as a program director.
Yes, I recall.
And that first year, he had it. And then in 1948, he left Muscatine, and Lou Miser, whose wife, Stell, was accompanist, contacted me, and I started directing. That 15 men at that time.
Well, that's great. Incidentally, while we're in that subject, can you give us a brief history of how you joined the Elks Chanters? What is the requisite to become a chanter?
Well, the Chanters really are made up of people of literally all walks of life. And a lot of them have had experience in high school in either choral or band programs. Some haven't, and amazingly do a fine job. When the year begins, if we need people, we kind of let the word out, and then, frankly, they try out with me, and if I think they can do it, we like to have them in the group. They do have to belong to the Elks.
They are members of the Elks.
That's right.
Now, I imagine some voice is interesting to have.
Well, there are a few requirements, and we have to do that.
Okay, now, back in those days, and my memory isn't really forming that well, I'm going to remember briefly, at that time, most of your performances were concerts primarily.
Yes, most of the performances had concerts of 2 or 3 groups. And we'd have special programs between those groups, and sometimes we'd invite people. One year we invited Margaret Jean Roberts, who was Margaret Jean Roberti, is it?
Roberti,
and she sang with us, and it was really very, very thrilling to have that. And those concerts went that way until 1960. In 1960, we'd been having programs, spring concerts 2 nights a week. And in 1960, I thought it would be a good idea if we would expand it a little bit, so we started to have the show part. And so 1960 brought that. Incidentally, that was the year that Lucille Carver joined us. Mrs. Miser retired, and Lucille, who just retired last year, was an outstanding accompanist and really great. And you know, she did a lot of our arranging, and she's still doing it for us, even though she's retired.
She has left the group,
That's
per
right.
se. I recall her leaving the group. It was quite a finale that you had.
Yeah, she's really outstanding. Now accompanying the group is Mrs. Austin Cole, Emily Cole, who last year was her first year. She did just an outstanding job. You might be interested that the first year, the show part was the Music Man, And we did all the music for the Music Man, only not as a show, but as a just concert type of situation.
Excerpts from
And
the
it
different.
went so well, and the crowds were so good, frankly, that we decided to keep that in. And we've done that type of a program ever since.
Something I've also noted, each program that you have about 30 minutes starting out with religious theme, that
Right.
you have made that a part of your show each and every year. I've admired that you do follow that through each and every year.
Well, there are two or three reasons that we do that, Don. The first one is that we like to do some things that really test our ability and make us work hard and make us sing well. And sacred music offers us great literature to do, and we feel that we should do that sort of thing. In fact, we do something sacred in every concert we do, whether it's a spring concert or not. And the guys, I think, enjoy doing that. Kind of makes them work pretty hard, but that's the way they like it.
Well, you're not that much of a taskmaster, are you?
Well, I think it would depend on who you talk to.
I've heard from some of the guys. Okay. Now, obviously, being associated with Elks,
Right.
this then would allow you to join the Elks associations in conventions throughout the country over the years.
Right.
And again, I think you and I had talked briefly about your honor of the first national contest and coming in first place. Where was that?
Well, I'll give you a little brief history because it's
Okay.
interesting. Jack Spratt, A.W. Spratt, came to a meeting in the middle of the year in 1954, said, "Do you know that there's a National Elks contest down in St. Louis?" I said, "No, I didn't know there was." He said, "What do you think about joining?" Well, I thought that'd be a good idea. So it was held in St. Louis, as I said, in 1954. There were 17 or 18 courses. And we didn't have any idea we'd win. We went down because it was great experience, great fellowship, and have a good time. Took our wives with us, and we sang for breweries and baseball games and everything. Had a great time, and entered the contest. And when we won, we were not only thrilled but very surprised that we did.
Very
And
honored.
the format of that is that they give you one or two numbers that you have to use, and then you can have a number of your own. And so it's always been that way. Then maybe you'd like to have me go on. We followed up.
I'd like to hear about
In
it.
1955, we went to Los Angeles, and it was a great experience. We went by bus, stayed one night on that whole trip in a hotel room, the rest of the time in the bus. Kelly Burns, who's still a member, knows how to sleep anytime. He was asleep most of the time. Well, we got to stay all night in Salt Lake City, and by the way, that was the night that the Tabernacle Choir was rehearsing, and we all went to that rehearsal, which is a great thrill to hear that situation. And we had it worked out, frankly. So at midnight, we stopped in Las Vegas and went to shows, and then went on to Los Angeles. The Los Angeles contest was really very thrilling. It was difficult. There was a course there from Boise, Idaho, that I think is probably one of the best courses that I've heard that we've competed against. And to be honest, I was not too sure we were going to beat them, but luckily we did. So we won that year. And it started to get pretty expensive because if the guys want to go to contests, that's great, but the wives also want to go along. So we had pancake supper, we washed cars, we did everything possible to make money to go. The next year the contest was in Philadelphia, and there were about 12 courses out there. And we fortunately won. We also went to New York and went to a show later on. And we went on up to Niagara Falls. I told you this. I have to mention in this season, the guys, we had to stop, frankly, and have a restroom stop. And we stopped in the area where there were a lot of tenements. And being from the Midwest, we didn't know anything about tenements, so we decided we'd walk around and look a little bit. So we walked around in some various places and stopped. And coming down the street with a vegetable cart was a guy hollering, "Watermellow, Muscatine watermellow." So we knew very well we were from the right
You're on the
place.
map.
You bet.
Right. Just briefly in here, while we're discussing the fact of the contests and everything, I recall your last year's visit was Las Vegas,
That's last year.
that you enjoyed out there. Now, can you tell us about your contest now, Max?
Well, there is not a contest. After after Philadelphia, there was one in Chicago, and I don't know how to really describe this, except we entered, and we were told that if we were going to enter, the other courses wouldn't enter because we'd made a record and we were professional. Well, nobody got paid or anything; they just worked hard, and so we won that year in Chicago, uncontested, and there hasn't been a contest since.
In other words, they were trying to disqualify you because of...
For some reason.
Yeah.
You asked about Las Vegas. Last year we went to Las Vegas, as you know, last summer. And really through help from industries and the public and the community helped us greatly. Because now it really is expensive to take a trip.
Yeah.
Very expensive. We sang in Las Vegas. We were there 5 days. We sang at an opening. It's really interesting for 7,000 people. It was really thrilling. The next morning for the opening of the lodge for 5,000 people. That noon for the wives of the Elks, they were on the floor for 5,000 people. We were supposed to sing 30 minutes. They kept us an hour and a half.
Great.
And then the next day we sang for another 7,000 people. We figured that we sang for almost 25,000 people at the time we were there. It's a great experience. So it was a wonderful, wonderful trip.
It's a fabulous story. One thing I'd like to briefly, well, not briefly, but get into the discussion. When did we form the Notables?
I'm not exactly sure. I think maybe 58 or 59 the Notables were formed. The Notables were formed as a quartet. I had a quartet going before, and I always practiced with them. And finally, the second tenor left town, moved out of town. And I started looking for a second tenor, and the guy said, well, since you're here all the time, why don't you sing second tenor with us? Seemed to be logical since it did it, so I started to sing with them. And in the past years, we've sung a lot.
Yes.
As some of us have gotten older and guys have become very busy in their work, it's been a little more difficult to do. But we still sing a lot and have a lot of fun and enjoy it. That group has been a great break for me because it gives me a chance to sing, frankly, and I don't have it.
It gives a great break for the audience, too, because it's very enjoyable. Who dreams up these little fun things you do? The people have seen the Notables.
Well, the quartet, well,
yeah.
Lucille and I really do it.
Really?
Lucille's raised it, we work them out, and it really gets...
Costuming and everything?
Oh, yeah, and it gets tough because, you know what, sometimes we work things out, we think it's very funny. At least it's funny to us.
There you go.
But the minute you sing it for somebody else and they don't laugh, you know you've made a mistake. And we try to have one novelty number at every spring show. Really, we've been blessed in that quartet with some very talented people over the years. And
Most surely.
just been fair. The first tenors, the first tenor was Willard Wilson. And Willard, it's a great voice. It still does, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Great voice. The next second tenor, a few years later, was Harvey Albee Jr., and Harvey has just a great voice, too. And now the first tenor is Austin Cole, and Austin is outstanding. He just, not only is he a great entertainer, but he has a fine voice. You see, we've really been fortunate because the first tenor slot in a quartet is really tough to find. And we've been blessed with 3 outstanding ones. The baritone, original baritone, was DeVere Newberry. Then DeVere's job with Stanley's had him go to Malaysia for 3 years. 2 different times he was in Malaysia. And so that meant we need to get another baritone. One of those baritones was Ed Brody. Ed Brody, passed away about 2 or 3 years ago. Ed was a very talented, bright guy. He worked for Bandag and did a good job. And now we have Darrell Hepker, who is not only a good singer, but a great entertainer. Outstanding guy. As Maury Reed, the bass says, and by the way, Maury Reed is probably the greatest talent from an entertainment standpoint I've ever been around. He may be, an Oxford Kent's, but he could have made it on a stage, I'll tell you that.
Now, he's one of your originals, Maury.
Maury and I are original Notables, as he said he's put up with me for all these years, and I think that's probably right. You too.
All right, now the next subject I'd like to touch on, when did we start in our Chanter organization, the instrumentation? Where we started having little groups of players, and now we're into a band, actually.
Yeah, I would suppose, it's about 12 years ago, and I started it by there's a lot of outstanding sacred music for brass and choir. And I frankly had done one with the church choir that I had at the time. I had church choirs for many years. And I did one, and I thought during the use it with my church choir, that would be great to put that at the end of the sacred section of the concert. So I did it, and people liked it, and we've done it ever since. And it affords not only variety, but it gives a chance to some of those instrumentalists who played a lot instrumentally in high school and college, and some have, to use some of those situations. Then about 8 or 9 years ago, I thought, why not then in the show part put a big band? And whatever the show is, have big band music that would depict that era or that time.
Sure.
So we've done that. And this is one of those things where I don't want to get rid of it, but I would be criticized if I did because we're doing it.
Very definitely.
I have a brother, Davis Malin Collins, who was here last year at our 40th concert. And Malin was an instrumental teacher here in Iowa. He went to Iowa for his master's degree in instrumental. Same time I went for voice. We're very close. We're just the two of us. My wife and I are out in California a week ago, and for our nephew to get married, and so I already have my big band music for this year's show for my brother.
Oh, great.
I talked to him yesterday, and he said that he had it Xeroxed and he was going to mail it to me right away. So it'll be interesting.
Have that in.
Yeah. By the way, you last year's concert you saw, where we already had fun, was the German band with Spike Jones.
Right.
And of course, with Maury Reed doing it really went great, and
Yes.
they had a lot of fun doing that. Yeah.
Over the years, you've expanded the time. In other words, you started out, with a half hour, hour? Or it seems like you've got this worked into a full-fledged, almost Broadway production anymore, Max.
Yeah, well,
which takes time, obviously, to do.
When we did the concerts, back before we ended the shows, we had probably about an hour and 15 minutes. And then when we added the show part, we've tried to have, with the intermission, not to be longer than 10:30, 8 to 10:30, and we stay in that. Now, 2 years ago, when it was my 40th concert, and I picked my favorite tunes, I had a terrible time trying to cut it down because I found I had a lot of favorite tunes. And it did go a little longer that time, but this past year, I think we were done about 10:25, and that's what we like to have. Yeah.
What has been your normal amount of talent? I mean, I think you spoke earlier, 50 presently members?
50 men now. As I said, I had 50 when I started. We went to St. Louis, and this is off the top of my head, and my memory, my grandson said to me, we had him for 8 days, and he said, as you get older, Grandpa, you forget, don't you? And he was so true. It was the truth. But I think we had about 30 people when we went to St. Louis, and then we had about 40 when we went to, I know we had 40 when we went to Los Angeles, and gradually it's gotten up to 50. And really, right now, it has to be about 50 to do the kind of a program that we do. And if you will notice something that we try to do, everybody in the Chanters is in some special number.
It's a job, right.
They all have a chance to sing in some special number, and so it works out well. And 50 great guys.
That's your plan then, to kind of keep it at a 50 level? Hopefully.
Yeah, but to be honest, if somebody walks in with a heck of a voice, they're going to be in the
turn,
room. It goes to 51 rapidly, but then we try to stay right at 50.
Sure.
Yeah.
You've also been kind to the feminine part. You've worked the women into the program through the years too, and they have a little segment now.
They do. Well, it really has to be. The men are gone on a lot of Monday nights, and they spend a lot of time.
Yes.
And a lot of those gals had performed in school, and it gives them an outlet. And they really not only do a good job, but they're a pleasure to work with. And the women of the Elks Chanters over the years have done anything we've asked them to do, and they have really been great. And they've raised money like all of us have.
I bet they helped
They've helped
tremendously,
tremendously. Yeah, just outstanding.
Okay, I have a knowledge of the fact of you're not only performing at the local auditorium. I know you go out to the different nurseries, nursing homes, and perform for those people. Can you kind of expound a bit on that?
Yeah, we have, at Christmas time, we sing carols for all of the nursing homes, basically, in the community. We started that 40 years ago. We used to sing at the old Bellevue Hospital, and we did sing at Muscatine General, but about 9 or 10 years ago, I think because of the way they have sectionalized some of the hospital, it got to be a little noisy in the halls and so forth, so we haven't done that. But we will sing at, before Christmas, the week before Christmas. We will go to maybe you can help me. Let's see. We go to the
Bethesda.
We go to Bethesda. We go to the Care Center. We go to the Lutheran homes.
And
We go to
Hershey Manor.
Manor, and we go to the county homes.
Okay.
And we start out at 7 and go till about 9:30 in the evening, and then we get together and have a little Christmas party and a sandwich
great.
and do that. So it's
Great.
competition.
Now, we're getting toward the end here. Just briefly, if we can visit momentarily, how do you decide on the music? Obviously, you have the hand in that logically, since you're the director.
Yeah, well, yeah,
You,
that is tough, Don.
I bet it is.
Because we do so many numbers. I suppose this past year we did in excess of 30 songs. You try to get them every place you can, and there's not as much music written for male chorus as there is for mixed chorus or women's group and so forth.
Surely.
And that's why Lucille Carver has been such a help, because over the years she's developed into an outstanding arranger. And she's very capable, and she's helped us tremendously. I have to decide on the music, and I do ask others what they think.
Sure.
For example, last year, fortunately, I've had 4 brand new songs in the first 2 choral groups, not before the show. This year, after the show, I went to Des Moines. I've gone to Des Moines 3 times since last year's concert to look for music. And I have found 2 songs that we haven't done before, that's all, that fit into what we like to do. But we've done so many songs over the past that I'm doing 3 sacred songs that we probably did 20 years ago. See, but people,
No.
the ears of people
Yeah,
brand new.
right.
Sure.
You've mentioned just briefly, I'll bring this up just briefly, the expenses leaped bounds in the music department
Oh, gosh.
purchasing these things. Like you
It's-
mentioned, it's
it's
just,
just
like
been
anything
terrible.
else, I guess,
Yeah,
really.
it's just been terrible.
Yeah.
2 examples. Last year, I brought a sacred piece of music out, and I found the cost of that piece of music on the top of the music, and it was 10 cents. The new one was $2. I had a piece of music that I thought I'd like to do this year, to be very honest about it, but I have to buy 60 new ones to use 60 new copies to have. This piece of music is $3 a copy. It's a medley, $3 a copy. Now that's $180 for one piece of music. And I guess it's my 25% Scotch blood, but I just couldn't take a chance with it. I decided, because you don't really know sometimes until you hear it.
Yeah.
It may look good and may think it's going to be good, but
Sure.
you don't know. So I haven't done it. Maybe I'll succumb some of these times and do it, but that's a little bit much.
Okay, you're talking large amount of monies here.
Right.
I mean, that's just one
One
incident.
song.
How do you get together with these expenses? I mean, what form do you have of meeting these? I know some are contributions, but how
Yeah.
else are they?
Well, the Elks supports us, not a great amount, frankly, because they can't afford to do that, but they pay a little bit, which helps pay accompanist and things like that. But we have to support ourselves by what we do with a concert and a show. We have to get the money to do that, and the community's been very fair to us. This past year, for example, it was really great to see, and this is what makes it all worthwhile. Every night, at 20 minutes to 8, the downstairs was filled. And, that gives the guys a charge. They're really going at it. They want to go at it then, because the people are there to hear them.
By the way, talking to that, I'd like to have you kind of tell real quickly, too. When do you start this? I don't think people realize how soon you begin practice for the next year.
Well, I started the week after the concert finishes because I got to get the music ready for September. The guys will start the second Monday of September. And the music now for the show part is all picked. I'm sorry, for the concert part is all picked.
All picked.
All
Still
ready.
have the others go through.
The show's music's yet to pick.
Now you meet once a week with a full
Yeah.
practice session until the actual.
Yeah, now they have a
dress
little
rehearsal.
time off, because since I'm retired, I've made a deal with them that I get 3 or 4 weeks off during the year, and we do that.
Fair, because you are on the go. I have
Yeah.
discovered that real quickly, working this together with you. Okay, now, do you want to give away a secret right here publicly? What are we going to do next year, Max?
Oh, I don't mind. I went after the show. I had an idea, and I changed it. I'm going to go and have a show all of music of the 1920s. So we're going to call it the Roaring Twenties, and we're going to we're going to have some surprises.
Great.
But the music of the
Always
20s,
fun.
I thought, well, I get enough songs, guys. I got so many songs to pick from. I don't know what to do, and it'll be a lot of fun. You know, the gals will be flappers.
Yep.
The guys will be in, and be great.
That's the whole
Yeah,
thing.
great show.
That ought to fit real well with us seasoned citizens.
Oh, yeah. Well, people will
Fit in
really,
that well.
it's really is going to be, it just opened my eyes. There's so much music there to use that it's really going to be great.
It'll bring back a lot of memories.
Sure
for us
will,
Of some
yeah.
music that's in the background. You know, we don't hear it nowadays. Of course, your shows have always done that. I mean, regardless, it's always been an adventure to come to your performances and see the, not just here, but see the different
Yeah, well, they-
functions you have. It's fantastic.
Yeah, they do it. And you know, we costume it all ourselves.
Yes.
We don't spend any money much on costumes, so good.
Well, Max, again, this has been just an exciting time visiting with you about the Chanters. And let's see, you're 41 years into it now, so I guess you know what you're doing.
Going in my 42nd.
How about that?
Yeah.
It's
Of course, I was
fantastic.
10 when I started.
We're not talking age. So again, we want to thank you for taking
Well,
the
I want to
time.
thank you very much for asking me, because the thing that's made the Chanters successful are the guys that are in it. They've
Right.
devoted all sorts of time, and they have a great attitude, and they're really outstanding.
Each
It's
and
a
every one of them.
pleasure for me to
They're
work with them.
They're out selling tickets, I can tell you that.
Yeah, they're great guys.
I hear you do that.
They do.
So again, we thank you for being with us today. We've enjoyed talking to Max and bringing you the Elks Chanters, the history of it. And we'd like to again thank Heritage Cablevision for allowing us to use their facilities here and always the cooperation they give us. And to the Commission on Aging for giving us this opportunity to present these features over the year. Again, we thank you for being with us. Thank you much. Goodbye.